All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Martha Alter Hines. Today, I'm really happy to be here with Eimear Stassen, and I invited Eimear to do this video because she is putting on a free summit or speaker series, but I would say actually kind of beyond that, that starts August 8th, right? The 8/8 portal.
Yes.
And I have been asked to, I've held, let's see, three of these kind of summits myself, and I've asked to be part of so many, so many. And yours and you, I would say you, really stuck out to me as being unusually mm, grounded, genuine, really coming from your heart, really coming from your true spirit, and with the feeling in your way of handling this project that you're being part of, um, as really about the soul of it rather than sort of more of the a lot of the time these summits can feel pretty blatantly salesy or a little ungrounded in a certain way. And I don't I don't say yes to that many, and even when I do say yes, I often find myself somewhat regretting it. So it's just a really unusual experience when I am saying yes, and then I am also really, really moved by the truth of the spirit of what's going on for you. So I really wanted to highlight this. I really want everybody to know about it and to know the background of why you're doing what you're doing and what you're doing. And yeah, to be able to find you because this is super, super beautiful what you have going on. And so the name of the actual summit is called Queen Remember Your Reign, which already I think starts peeking up our ears a little bit. And there are some beautiful speakers involved, including Dr. John Ryan, which I know lots and lots of people here know and love, including me. Know and love him, and many others as well. So, welcome, Emar. Thank you so much for all that you're doing, and I'm really excited to hear more because we're gonna weave in, I think, some topics that people will be very excited about as and I am too.
Thank you so much, Martha, and thank you for your heart and offering for us to reconnect as well in this space. So thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah. So do you want to start by, yeah, explain to us what is Queen Remember Your Reign? Where did that come from? Why is this so near and dear to your heart and soul? And yeah, who is the queen?
Well, I'm the queen, you're the queen, your
Mhm.
listeners are the queen. We're all the queen. And that's really one of the key messages of the summit is that the queen is within all of us. And the queen, as an archetype, as an energy, wants us to remember the truth, the depth, the breadth of who we are. And I was sharing backstage with you, I never thought I'd do a summit about queens, about witches, or even about leadership. And this one, I haven't done a summit for probably a year and a half, and I've been waiting and listening. And this one came through really because it is modeling what my journey has been. And we can dip into that if it feels relevant. But it is this reclamation of that resonance of gold, of royalty. So I'm Irish, I live in the UK, I live in Scotland. We are ruled by a monarchy. I witnessed the procession of Queen Elizabeth II passing down the Royal Mile in Edinburgh
Mm,
and how she was honoured and revered, and how the media spoke about her as this sovereign queen.
mm.
And there was something within me, like this suppressed rage that I
Wow.
was feeling within me. I found myself shouting at the television, going, she was no sovereign queen. And no disrespect to
Mm,
the monarchy or that lineage, But what it felt for me was that the structures have not enabled Queen Elizabeth or the monarchy to be truly sovereign.
Beautiful.
So it set me on this journey of exploration of what is it? What is sovereignty? What does it mean when we reclaim that inner sovereignty for each one of us as unique divine beings? And how is that reflected in our life, in our work, in our businesses now aligned with these times? So that's a bit of how this started to come along and how then that queen energy really wouldn't leave me alone. It's like you've got the crown, you've got the deep connection to your roots, you've been on this journey. Now it's time to speak your part and delve into, with curiosity, how the queen energy is expressed through other wisdom keepers as well.
Beautiful. And you told me that you had a pretty profound meeting of this energy originally on another 8/8 gate year date on a different in a different year. So the date 8/8 is actually also really significant for you, right? Do you
Yeah.
want to say more about what happened originally?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. So I didn't know the significance of the 8-8 portal or the Lion's Gate or any of the significance around that. So it was the year 2020. All the shenanigans was going on. We went on a staycation. I live in central Scotland. We went to Edinburgh for a week's holiday, which I was not happy about because for me, that's where I commute into. It is not a place I wanted to go on holiday, on staycation.
Oh,
So off we went, myself, my husband, my three kids. And my husband had booked a tour of the Edinburgh dungeons.
oh wow.
And this is a family-friendly tour. Whee! Edinburgh dungeons. Family tour, experiential history, her story, bringing it all to life as you descend into the depths of the dungeons in Edinburgh. And they do, these kind of tours exist around the world as well. So maybe listeners have been on these tours. Maybe you've had similar experiences. That would be interesting to know. So in we went, and it was a sunny day outside in Edinburgh, which doesn't happen a lot. So I again was reluctant to go into the darkness, which is metaphoric in its sense, in itself, isn't it? And down we went, and we went through the different rooms, learning about Edinburgh's murky history. And we got into the courtroom, and there was a judge on his pulpit with his wig standing above us hierarchically. And he asked for someone to step forth and offer to go on trial for being a witch.
Wow.
And there was actually only us, our family, and there was another couple. That was it.
Mm.
We're masked, how ironic. Our voices covered over. And I stepped forward because, I was a trainer in corporate and I like to get involved, and help people out. So I stood there and my kids are rolling their eyes like, oh, she's so embarrassing.
Yeah, obviously my kids would do the same thing. Yeah.
Here she goes again. And the judge was really getting into it. It felt so real and visceral. And as he was lifting his hammer into the air to sentence me to death by burning at the stake for being a witch under the Scottish Witchcraft Act 1563, it's perfectly legal, I felt something within me spark to life. So it was kind of similar to that rage I felt about the sovereign queen not being the sovereign queen. But it was a flame, what I can describe as a flame of remembrance sparking to life within me. And
Mm.
he, the judge, was sentencing me to death for being a witch. And there was something so wrong that felt so wrong and so visceral within my whole being. And I can feel the rumblings again within me. And in that moment, I knew, and I played along on the outside. I was playing along. Ha ha ha, this is so funny. I'm going to be killed for being a witch. Within me, I felt this rage and also this no, this
Yeah.
no. This is not happening again in this life.
Mhm.
And you know, I just knew this has happened in previous lives. And in this life, it's not going to happen. So I was drawing the boundary line. No, it's not happening. And I'm not going to testify on behalf of Agnes beside me that she also is a witch because I know what's going to happen to her. And I also know what's going to happen to my family and the stigma and the danger if I, their mother, are being put on trial and being burnt for being a witch. So as we turned and left, they didn't take me away. They let me go into the next room to experience the rest of the Edinburgh Dungeon tour. And I was like, there was an energy within me that felt so alive. It didn't feel traumatic. It felt so alive. And I was saying to my husband and my kids, like, this is real. And they're like, yeah, it's a tour. It's real. Like, no, this is real. This has happened before. And I can feel like this, whoo, these shivers coming over me. So we went on and did the rest of the tour and we went back out into the sunlight and it was all lovely. And I was happy that I'd survived this time and said no. But there was something within me. The witches had gotten under my skin. And it was like they wanted me to know more. Like this is not to be an isolated incident. So that evening, we went home to our staycation place. And then that evening, I walked back in to Edinburgh. We were staying just in the West End, so I walked back into the centre. By then, I'd gone to Google looking up witches in Scotland, and I was so enraged within me again because I had lived and worked in Edinburgh in particular for years. And in fact, my last job before leaving corporate was overlooking Edinburgh Castle, which was at the heart of the witch burnings in Edinburgh in the 1600s. And I went back there and I'd found, oh, I'd heard there's a memorial to the witches who'd been killed at the Castle Esplanade. So I walked back up just to feel, to honor, I didn't know what, just out of my curiosity. And the place was empty because no one was allowed travel. So there were no tourists. It's normally really busy. So I felt like I had the place to myself. And that's why I feel heard the voices of the witches that I maybe would not have heard before, did not hear before. And as I paid my respect at this witch's well, this little memorial that's hidden away, tucked away, I turned to leave and walk back down to our accommodation. And that's where I heard the mantra that came through. And it was literally to the rhythm of my feet, my marching feet. Witches, rise up. Return to your power. Witches, rise up. Now is the hour. Witches, rise up and step onto your throne. Witches, rise up. It's time to come home.
Oh my goodness. Mm.
So that was day one of my witch awakening, all on the Lionsgate Portal 2020.
Oh.
And
Mm.
what unfolded after that, it just kept unfolding. And I thought
So
I was going mad. But ultimately, the beginnings of what then would unfold on my journey and then would become Queen's Rise Up. Because we're being called to return to our throne, and my dog is whining here. He's like, "Oh, I've heard this story too often now. Get me out of here." Step onto your throne as your seat of power to reclaim that voice, that wisdom, that energy that was burnt out of so many people,
Yeah.
the majority women.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's a little part of why it's so significant.
Beautiful. Um, there's so much more there, but can you say more about like when you just go into yourself and feel the witch rising or the queen rising. What is that energy? Can you describe it? Because you've said, I can't remember if you were recording yet or not, but you said, oh no, we weren't recording yet. So you said, um, for you, this queen is not a queen who's, up on in her castle, way away from all of the rest of everybody and sort of on this pedestal. That's not what she is. So say more about, who she actually is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful because for me it is that we're being called to step onto our throne,
Mm.
but it's this queen who wants to experience the fullness of life and to be in amongst her queendom with all her fellow kings and queens, by the way,
Yeah.
who are pure of heart and who know their innate power and live life in that way. So she's just so tired of being locked away in that tower
Mm,
on her
mm,
throne and having to perform these different, how to be a certain way that isn't her. Like the truth of who she was has been, the masks are being dissolved
yes.
now. So she wants to experience the wildness and the rawness of life. And she wants to speak with a voice that has been healed from those times and speak freely. I think that's a real key part, freely from her heart and
Mm,
have fun because she's
mm,
missed out on all of that because she was locked away in her castle on her throne. So just to have fun and have friends, true
yes.
friends.
Yes. Yeah.
It feels very simple and profound because so many people have been on this journey and healing and reclaiming. And now the queen is here going, we don't need her to put the crown on our head. We've got to feel it and realize it and reignite it within ourselves for ourselves.
Yes. Right.
Treasures are within us.
Right. And the power actually resides within us. It's not something that's going to be done to us. It is, and it's, I say this pretty often. It's, I feel really strongly that it's not going to be the patriarchy giving up the power. It's going, or even the men giving, uh, I should say, changing the ways in which they're operating. Typically, I mean, some are changing, yes, for sure, but I think that the real change is going to come from the feminine stepping in and being the full true feminine and the masculine all at the same time. But yeah, the real wave of change I think has to come from inside out, and we have to be the ones to do it, literally. Yeah, it's just that it's not going to happen any other way. My opinion. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so I had another, yeah, oh, I know what I was going to say. So, astrologically, this is what we talk about actually in my conversation with you during the summit, so I won't go into it in depth because that's what I do in the summit. But I'll just say, the timing, you're not an astrologer, right? You didn't
No, no,
know
but
the
I'm
significance.
interested
Yeah,
in
yeah. You
astrology.
didn't know the significance astrologically of this exact timing of this particular summit this year. It's not only an 8/8, but in 2026, this year, um, that your timing is uncanny because because on let's see, we're recording this July 20th, 2026. In 6 days, July 26th, which happens to be 2 days after you're going to be starting to open up the space for people to sign up. Um, that day, uh, the nodes of the moon, the south node is switching from having been in Virgo for the last 18 months to being in Leo. Okay. The south node is also conjunct the star Regulus, which is the heart of Leo the lion. And this only happens once every 18 and a half years. Okay, this does not happen every year. And right at the time of right in the middle of your summit on August 12th is a solar eclipse in Leo
Wow.
on the south node of the moon, which is in Leo conjunct the star Regulus, heart of Leo the lion. It's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Um, so a solar eclipse, that's a new moon. So it's a fresh start energy, right? And it's on the south node of the moon, which often is supporting us to bring in our past gifts of whatever that energy is. So Leo, the heart of Leo, the lion, ourselves as the queen, ourselves as the king, this ourselves as leader, sacred leadership. Um, and also the South Node supports us to radically release anything out of balance. So radically release any of these old associations with being the queen, the king, the leader, um, all of it. Anything there we no longer need. So, I mean, I don't I don't know that you could have chosen a more perfect timing. It's kind of amazing.
That's crazy. And yeah, because it seemed a no-brainer. Like I haven't done an event over this period before. Like, why not? Oh,
Yeah.
well, I'll just do it this year.
Yeah. But it's the extra perfect year.
Yeah, yeah.
Like really,
It
like
feels
really,
right.
really. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Um,
amazing. Is Regulus one of the royal stars of
yes, it
as
is.
so?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the North Node is well, okay, so the first eclipse is August 12th, um, which is this new moon at 20 degrees of Leo. But then 2 weeks later, so right after your summit, we have a lunar eclipse, and that's going to be a full moon at 4 degrees of Pisces. Still, the south node will be with Regulus, though, and but then the full moon will be with another royal star, Fomalhaut.
Mm.
So during the whole eclipse season, the south node is with Regulus, one of the royal stars, and then for the lunar eclipse, the full moon is exactly conjunct Fomalhaut, another one of the royal stars. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's like the passing of the torches.
Yes.
Like here you go now. Are you ready to receive this?
Yes. 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 Beautiful. And there's this other layer that we were talking about before we started recording that I think would love to bring in. I think people, at least in my community, probably find pretty compelling too, because at least I do. I can speak for myself. I do. But another component of all of this is that as the queen steps back onto her throne, so as our true self-sovereignty, our true power comes back online, our voice comes back online, and as our full ways of being and perceiving, um, and being in relationship with life, as all of that is coming back online, another layer that I've been talking a lot about in my work is this like louder and louder and louder and louder presence of the what I call the infinite benevolent realms of all the spirit beings, right? So I work a lot with inner mountain beings, fairies, gnomes, star beings, blah blah blah, all of the things. And you had a, a story related to all of this that I felt incredibly powerful to me. And I would love it if you want to share that because it does feel tied in with all of this conversation we're having. Do you want to
Oh, I love that.
share?
Yes, and it's always tied in, the inner beings, the fairies. I mean, they want to be involved in everything. They
Mm,
have to be
mm,
at the
mm.
party. To give a little bit of context on the journey, 3 days after that experience on the 8/8/2020 portal, there was a massive thunder and lightning storm in Edinburgh, and we don't have that often. And it felt like this energy was coming up, like the anger, the rage, the power was all coming up with volcanic fury. And it reconnected me back to the Cailleach witch, who is the creator of the Celtic lands. Very connected in Scotland and Ireland. And so for me, it was like I was already returning to my native Ireland and reconnecting with the mythology and the Irish medicine wheel, all of that. And I was actually teaching it that week, that very week. I was teaching it online to a group of people. So the Cailleach witch came in really strongly and pretty much dictated like a poem to me about what she's been through. And it was only after that I found out that there's a sacred site in Ireland that I've now been to many times called Lough Crew in Ireland's ancient east. And there's a stone throne on the northerly outside part of her place. So talk about like step onto your throne and remember your Indigenous roots. And this is a message for everyone, our Indigenous roots. So the Cailleach is this ancient being, but she's also connected to the Tuatha Dé Danann, who are this race of fairy, shining beings that existed in Ireland before we came along, the humans. And there's a huge amount of mythology associated with the Tuatha Dé Danann. Tuatha means tribe in Irish, and Danann has different meanings. It could mean the tribe of the gods, it could be the tribe of Danu, goddess Danu, or D apostrophe Anu, or An or Anya. So there's different interpretations of who they are. But to me, they are the powerful gods and goddesses whose energy still exists in Ireland. And the mythology, so the Irish lore, as many indigenous cultures was, it was an oral lore. So the bards, the Brehons, the poets, the storytellers held the stories as sacred and would speak them, but they weren't written down. But we do have mythology that was written down in the early centuries by the monks. And this is how we know about the Tuatha Dé Danann from these ancient manuscripts. But also we know them because we feel the energy when we go to the land and to the sacred sites. So the Tuatha Dé Danann, they held the power in Ireland in this ancient time. And before them were the Fir Bolg, the clay people, and others, the Fomorians, the sea giants. And then the Tuatha Dé Danann lived in relative peace, although there's many different stories. And actually the people that the medicine wheel that I connect with is mainly the goddesses of the Tuatha Dé Danann. But then this next wave of people came to Ireland called the Malaysians or the Sons of Meal, or others called them the Gaels, who then became the Irish people that we are related to. So they arrived into Ireland and they were greeted by the triple goddess Eru, Bamba, and Fola. And one of the guys came off the boat and his name was Amergan. And he was this handsome hunk of a man. So the three, Eru, Bamba, and Fola, were like, hey, Amergan, what are you doing here? And he's like, well, I want to live here and take Ireland for myself, colonize Ireland, because that's her story, isn't it? And they said, well, okay, yeah, you can have Ireland, but first of all, you need to go out with your crew out to the ninth wave, row out to the ninth wave, and if you make your way back, then you can have Ireland. But there's one condition that you name her after me, Eru, or Bamba, or Fola. If you make it back, you name Ireland after Eru, we promise we will go underground. So we will inhabit the underground inner earth part of Ireland, the fairy mounds, the sacred sites, and you can have the upper part. So Armageddon's like, right, so yeah, that sounds like a good plan. So off he goes out in the boat, out to the ninth wave. And the idea of the ninth wave is that you've rowed out so far, it'd be really hard to get back. So they assumed he would not get back. But Amergan, the hunk of a man, he is a poet, he is a bard. And he knows how to sing his mystical magic to be able to calm the water and sing his song and be able to row back to land. And this is one of the oldest poem, his Amergin song. That is apparently what it is. He's I am the wind and the water. Sorry, I'll misquote it there, but you can look it up, Amergin's song. There's some amazing versions. So the veil lifts, the sea calms, and he makes it back to shore. Arrives back to Eru Bambang Fola, and they are true to their words. They go underground with all of their tribe, the Tuatha Danann, and the Malaysians, the sons of Meal, inhabit the upper part of Ireland, and that's the way it's been to this day. So they are the shining ones. They are the people that we connect to for this time, for this queen energy to return, and for us to remember that wisdom that is seeded in the seeds that we planted eons ago to resurrect and to sprout once again. So that's the story of the Tuatha Danann, which many people will know and have heard of them and probably connect with them as well. But it's so beautiful because when you go to the sites like Newgrange or She on Vrue is the Irish for Newgrange, and She is the fairy or the fairies, the womb of the fairies, the palace of the fairies, or Nouth, or we connect to these places, people just feel the magic, the emotion, the joy, the wisdom that is returning now. So that's a version of the story.
Amazing. I had never heard that story. And yeah, it completely fits with, like I was saying, with everything I channel, everything I've been channeling for several years now. And like I was telling you before we started recording, and it probably is lots of people who, if you listen to me, you've heard me say this so many times, but yes, all the infinite benevolent realms that I connect with, which is many, 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 many realms, all say the exact same thing, which is they are just waiting for us to be ready, and they're ready. What they've told me just in the last year, they keep saying the veil is lifted, the veil is gone. So now it's up to you. Because what
Wow.
they were telling me starting in 2017, 18, and before that is that they've purposefully put up a veil because at least the version that they tell me is that basically humans were mistreating them, right? So they had to kind of hide. But also they needed to hide because it was part of the role they were playing in the quote unquote time of great forgetting. And but now that time of great forgetting is done. It's over and the veil is gone. So the again, I don't know, but this is what they tell me. And so now they're not willfully making it so that we can't see them or hear them or know them. It's now a matter of us choosing to remember each in our own ways, our natural ways of seeing, being, hearing, feeling, being in community and communion with them. And no one way. There's not one right way to be in relationship with them. Um, right, but now it's up to us. Like they're just sort of sitting there waiting. Like we're here. Um, yeah, I don't know. Do you have any feelings or thoughts on that or
It's beautiful, beautiful, and so hopeful, and it resonates so much. My last summit was 2024, and it was all about. It was called Resurrection of the Irish Wisdom School.
oh,
I know, and I'm like, what?
hmm,
Okay, and that was something that this term, the Irish Wisdom School, was given to me, and I
hmm,
didn't know what it was, and I was kind of scared to put it out there, but so I did a summit and thought, well, maybe I'll get some clarity. But the tagline on it was around lifting the veil of secrecy and shame.
yes,
Lifting
yeah.
the veil. of
Yeah.
secrecy and shame. So it's really another way of what you've shared of this reconnecting now to this wisdom. And the other, as you were sharing that as well, I was feeling, well, that's sovereignty. It's up to us. When you said that, it's up to
Yeah.
us now. Isn't
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
sovereignty, our sovereign choice? That
Yeah.
are we ready?
Right. And for each person to be able to choose individually, right? And also for me that brings in stepping out of, again, part, I think big part of the quote unquote time of great forgetting is that we've been taught to be in a victim mentality and in a passive state. Um, and we've really been taught through like witch trials, through all these things that we don't have power. And actually it's very, 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 very life threatening if we attempt to even think we have power. So for a lot of people, I feel like one of the biggest things to be working on actually is undoing the waiting for something to happen to me, right?
Mm,
And I still hear that a lot. Why hasn't anything good happened for me? It's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Uh, take back that power. Like
yeah,
step, let's, it's in your control to really yeah, really come back to your own self agency. That's step number one. Big, big, big
yeah,
step number one. Um, yeah. And the other part I want to just throw in there also that's so resonant with what you're sharing is again, these beings, every single realm that I connect with say the also the exact same thing, which is they show me and tell me they have never forgotten. So like humans, we went through this time of great forgetting. They did not. They just hid and have been waiting. And so their knowledge and wisdom is completely intact,
yes,
never has diminished ever. And so they have this literal well of ancientness that they are in their wholeness still. And it's again, it's up to us to soothe our nervous systems, really focus on coming back into our own remembering of our own wholeness, because that is for me what a big part of how we then can connect with them and their wisdom is through the frequency of wholeness, actually. And then it's like they have this entire world, literally, every single one of these realms has an entire world of ancient knowledge, medicinal knowledge, that they're just sitting there waiting to be like, here you go. You know, through our bodies, through our beings, not like we're gonna learn it like we're in school, I don't think. Um,
yeah.
yeah.
Yes, which is the school. That's the real school.
Yes, 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 that. Right,
Our
right, right.
bodies. Because
Yeah,
it's fake. Like we've been talking about it's fake. It's the strap line. It's, we're repeating rote learning
yeah,
what we think is the truth. And
yeah,
it's this invitation, and I was laughing when you were talking about that and waiting for something to happen.
yeah.
And I was like after that experience, it was so magnificent in 2020 that when I finally went back to Edinburgh, it was like nearly a year later. And it's only 20 minutes on the train from where I live, but it was nearly a year later when I went back to Edinburgh to meet a friend. And I was waiting for that very something like that very same experience to happen. And it
Mm,
didn't. Like, oh my gosh,
yeah.
whoa, have I lost my connection? And the thing that did was that knowing that I hold the torch, you
Oh,
hold the torch, and I am the torch, and
be,
you are the torch. And it
mm,
was actually this, I nearly banged into a litter bin, a trash can, on the way up to the castle, Edinburgh Castle, and the words torch were actually graffitied on the bin. I'm like, oh my gosh, take a photo. Torch, torch. And it was both. It was like torch her, torture. Oh my gosh, what people have endured
wow.
over the eons and are enduring. And whoa, sovereignty. I hold the torch. I am the torch, the light and the dark, the yin and the yang, the black and the white, all of this duality. We're the
Mm.
torch to blaze through that now.
Wow. And you
So
carry the torch and you can help light other torches, you know?
and ignite that remembrance in
Mm,
others.
mm, mm.
That's what we want. We want everyone to remember.
Oh,
And wow, the veils are lifted. So it's like we're receiving very similar messages
mm.
in different
Yeah.
ways.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's
Hmm.
so reassuring.
Mm.
And therefore, so will others be.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard from many, many people. Yeah, similar things. Yeah. And yeah, so many things I could say. Um,
Wow.
well, is there anything else you want to say before? I would love for you to describe the summit, tell us all about that, but is there anything else just in terms of this conversation you want to say before we move to that? Anything that feels, yeah.
I really feel to underline what you shared as well, it actually came through in a Magdalene poem for me about the wisdom teachings being intact.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
And now we share them.
Yes.
We've returned now with the wisdom teachings intact. Now we share them.
Yes.
Felt really important. And that remember, like that's all I'm hearing. It's remember, remember, Queen, Queen, remember your reign.
Yeah.
Like this urgent, gentle mantra.
Yeah.
Queen, Queen, remember your reign.
Yeah. Exactly. And
Whatever that means
yeah,
for
I can
that.
emphasize that with a little teeny tiny little story, which people maybe have heard me tell, but feels really important. Again, coming out of this expectation that things are going to just happen to us, or something's gonna just land in our lap, or like, I don't know, we're just gonna be given a book of all of this wisdom. I mean, that might happen. I don't know. But really, really, really strongly, um, I feel it's happening through our bodies, through our beings. Okay, so I'll give this one little example. So I live in Santa Barbara, California, and in this part of California, the native people who have been here for, many, 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 many thousands of years are the Chumash people. Okay,
Mm.
so 23 years ago yeah, 23 years ago, exactly, 23 years ago, exactly, when I moved here, I had never been here before, and uh, but anywhere I go in the world, I can see the ecosystem of the spirit world in that part of Gaia. Okay, so and that was a long time ago. I'm now 49, so I was 26, I guess, when I first moved here. But I already had that ability, and I very early on when I lived here, maybe like the first month, I met a woman who became a really close friend who is Chumash. And she is a quite a wisdom keeper. She's an herbalist and all that, but quite a wisdom keeper of her Chumash tradition. And at one point, when I had just first moved here, I was looking up at the mountains, and so we have the ocean, and then we have a whole set of mountains here. Incredibly gorgeous, beautiful place, magical. And I could immediately see in the mountains these little people. So they were like very different from their in Scotland. I experience fairies to a certain extent, gnomes sort of maybe. But these people, these little people here in the mountains, they're a little taller than the average like gnome or like leprechaun. And most of them they had this reddish color to them. No, sorry, green color. And then there was this one who was taller and was red color, very specific. And they seemed kind of mischievous and very savvy. And so I said to my friend, "Hey, this is going to sound really weird, but I keep seeing in the mountains here these little green people, these little people who are green colored, and then there's a taller one who's red, and that's it feels like that person is their leader. And my friend said, "Wow, well, you know what? That is exactly what our Chumash stories tell us, but we don't tell white people about it, and I don't know a single Chumash person who has actually seen them."
Wow.
Yeah. So I went, little 26-year-old me was like, what is going on? And I've had really similar experiences, in various configurations around the world. And so that's an example to me of that is how the knowledge is going to come back, right? Is that it's right here. Like it's literally right here. And it's a matter of just remembering each in our own ways how to see it, feel it, be it. We are it. Like we are them on a certain level. So it's not, yeah, I think we're trained to think that knowledge comes through books, comes through writing, comes through a teacher telling us what is true, which all is great. And a lot of this maybe is meant to be written in books. I don't know, but that's not the real way of remembering, right? Yeah, I think this is the
It's embodied.
queen.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, queen, step back onto your throne. It's that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And what a cool throne. That throne is any kind of throne, the most
yeah.
magical, bejeweled, golden, sparkling, it's whatever it is
Mm,
for you. And it
hmm.
is that as well that you are the scribe of
Yeah.
this next phase, which was another message that came through. So yeah, it's the wisdom. And gosh, had you seen that kind of visual before? Like was
Oh
that the
yeah,
first
yeah,
time?
yeah.
Oh,
That was
right. Okay.
quite normal for me. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Yeah, that
That's
started for me around age 21-ish, consciously. hmm But yeah,
that's
yeah, very strong for me in Scotland. Oh my goodness. Yeah, like off the chart. That's where it is the most strong for me, actually. That's where my body is literally from there, right? So I think it wakes up especially there. But yeah, yeah, the Western Isles, especially in Scotland. It's like
yeah.
nonstop. Talking, talking,
Which is
talking.
it's the Hebrides and it's Bridie, Bridget, Breed, who
Oh,
is the bridge
oh.
and the torch holder. She's Bridget, triple goddess.
Mm, mm, mm.
Ireland that so many people know. We now have a public holiday to celebrate her. The
Oh,
saint, it was the goddess and then the saint,
okay.
Bridget.
hmm
So yeah, the Hebrides, oh, are so magical.
Yeah, they are. Truly. Yeah.
Yeah, a special kind of light and wisdom there.
Yeah. So strong. Yeah. That's where my great grandfather's family came from. Yeah.
Yeah,
hmm
incredible. It's Lismore, is it?
There's more. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Um,
haven't actually been to that island, but I've been to lots of the others.
yeah. Right near Mull and Iona and Oban and that area. Yeah. Um, Amazing. Great. Yeah, and it just I feel like I want to say this one sentence one more time, but again, to me it just feels so much like that wisdom is meant to come through. It's a wisdom of a way of being to me, way more than a wisdom of like facts, like data.
Yeah,
Um, and I think that's what this queen, remember your reign, is about stepping into that way of being, remembering that way of being.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
hmm
And it's so heart opening if we can allow that, to let that fear, that those armors dissolve and allow our hearts to be opened to
Yeah,
receive that. It's really, really beautiful. And that's the power for
exactly.
all of us. And my goodness, that is a journey.
Yeah, yeah.
That is
Beautiful.
the journey. So it
Mhm.
is so has to be so embodied. Because yeah, those lofty ideas, that's that hierarchical.
Yes.
queen locked away
Yes,
on the
exactly.
throne with all
Exactly.
this etiquette, and she doesn't want that anymore.
No. Yeah. And the idea that there's only one right way to be doing it, or there's only one, you're a bad girl if you don't XYZ. You can't, yeah, anyway. Yes. Yes. We're all exactly perfect, exactly in the moment we are in, and exactly the way it's happening for us, and we're all her, like just period.
Yeah,
There's no way to not be. Yeah. Hmm.
yeah, absolutely. Welcome
Wonderful.
back to the queendom.
Yes, exactly. Here
The
we are.
world is our queendom
No, that's right. That's right.
and kingdom, because it's
Yeah.
all of us. It's this round table. It's the divine king queen energy,
Yeah.
within, out with, that we're all reclaiming and remembering.
Beautiful. All right. Well, do you want to tell us about the summit and tell us,
Yeah.
yeah, all the things, how to sign up, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, yeah. So I've kept it very simple this time. So it starts on the 8/8 portal 2026. As we said, it's going to run for 5 days. It opens with I'm doing a live ceremony. It's 11 a.m. UK time, so you can convert that, but the replays are sent out afterwards. And it's literally sign up for free, queen-summit.com. This is the Queen Summit. So I've got 15 speakers, including me and the wonderful Martha here. And it's such an array of topics on astrology, on quantum physics, on the Irish keen and grief rituals, on Queen Scotia and her connection, her journey from Egypt to Ireland. It's not all just about Ireland, but that's that wisdom has to come through as well. So yeah, it's a whole array of topics, wealth and abundance and sovereignty. What is that for the Queen?
Mm.
And yeah, we've got some live interviews, some pre-recorded interviews. So there'll be about 3 interviews a day. And it is an invitation to sink into the wisdom and the frequency, because that's what I'm hoping. That's the intention that it is this beautiful, enriching frequency of gold, of silver, gold, of jewels that people can really connect into beyond, as you say, the what we're saying, allowing that to pass through. But it's ultimately that feeling of Queen, remember your reign, and what that unfolds and becomes for you. So I can't wait to share it and also to notice the synchronicities or what arises within and beyond that portal
Mm.
for all of us. And we're all on this journey.
Mhm.
And Queen is here and she's back to stay. And
Yeah.
she is. She is. It is the witch. It is the Magdalene.
Mhm.
It is the leader. It's all of these. It is Bridget. It is Anya, the goddess of summer solstice that we're in now.
Mm. Mm.
All encompassing.
Yeah. And yeah, and then on, this other level, right? Imagine the world. I mean, this is to me exactly precisely what we're here to be doing in this for me. I speak for myself, but I think it's true for everybody listening. Um, this is it. This is what we're here to do. This is what we're here to be. We're here to be the remembering of exactly this. When you're in getting that image of you in the dungeon, and yeah, women really were killed there. Maybe you really were killed. Probably, I would guess you probably were killed there. A lot of us were in those situations, really, for real, actually. And this is the time now where we come back and we actually do this, and we are able to do this fully and freely and with our full voice and all the things you said. And yeah, so let's do it.
Yeah, and what an honor and a privilege and a responsibility in
Hmm.
the lightest meaning of that word. And the other part is that each speaker offers a beautiful free gift. So it's just that beautiful. So you can connect even more deeply with Martha's work, with my work, with all the speakers as well. So it's that sacred economy, that circular economy of giving and receiving, that figure of 8 in the 8/8 portal.
Beautiful.
from the
Yeah,
heart of the lion and lioness to all of you
great.
royal people.
Yes. Yes. And speaking of that, I have one last question that actually, could be an entire video, I'm sure, in and of itself. So just like, but I feel incomplete closing without asking this. Um, can you give the teeny tiny little version of, can you say a little bit more about the round table and what that means for you? Because I've heard you refer to that and it's very intriguing and I want to hear more, but yeah, I have a feeling there's a certain flavor you mean with that.
Mm. So you're asking a storyteller to keep it
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know, if it doesn't work to keep it
I'm just
short,
joking.
that's fine too,
Sure.
but
The short version.
yeah.
Okay. Once upon a time,
Yeah.
so the very short version is I had a vision. I went on a shamanic journey, had a vision, and there were knights sitting at this magnificent round table. And there were empty seats in between each of the knights. And what I realized were they were waiting. The divine knights are waiting for the witches, the Magdalens, the queens,
Oh
the
no.
shining ones to return. I'm getting chills to
Oh my God. I'm gonna cry. Okay. Keep going.
take our seat at the round table once again. It's here. It's another way of what you've shared. They're here. And again, it's are you going to take that action of taking our seat? And then it's the round table as the portal to New Earth, five-dimensional Tara, Gaia, whatever. It's this portal to, and the significance of the circle and the round table. And we're coming up to Magdalene's feast day and pie portal. There's all arms and legs and trees and branches and roots off that. But ultimately, that's it here to return and drink from our golden goblets and
Okay.
celebrate.
That vision, this could be a whole video. I've never heard, I've never seen or heard that vision, and it's your vision, so that would be why. But um, that's amazing, and it puts together so many things for me. So, okay, at 24 degrees of Libra, as both the star Spica or Spica and Arcturus, and Arcturus, is quite far north of the ecliptic, so they're not actually together in the sky. They're in totally different constellations and they're very far from each other. But if you equate those two stars with the ecliptic or like an astrology chart, they both show up as 24 degrees of Libra. My North Node, which is kind of like a destiny point, happens to be 24 degrees Libra. Okay, so this
Oh,
Spica, and Arcturus are very important to me. And what's fascinating about that point is that Spica is the star that is she's she's the hand of the goddess in the Virgo constellation holding the shaft of wheat. And so Spica is often thought of as when Spica, that star, is really prominent, it's often thought of as the the divine feminine or the goddess, or especially the elder divine feminine wisdom being brought back into the world, like the gifts of the elder divine feminine being brought back into the world. Okay. But
wow.
then there's also at that same part of, lined up with that part of the same part of the sky with Spica is Arcturus. And Arcturus is in the Boots constellation or Boötes constellation and is often associated with Arthur and the round table. And so Boötes or this constellation, Arcturus, often is associated with the keeper of the circle of the zodiac, right? And because he's very far north of the ecliptic and is, anyways, kind of getting close to our polar area. Um, and so I've been sitting with what is that relationship between Spica and Arcturus? And obviously there's this dance between the feminine and the masculine. Okay, that's nice. But now You just put it all together for me. Oh my goodness. It's that Spica, to me, I'm speaking again for myself, but whoa, when we integrate Spica and Arcturus, it's exactly that. For me.
Mm,
For me, I suddenly just clicked. It's that we can be the bringers of the deep ancient wisdom of the divine, the true divine feminine in all of herself, the dark witch, the light being, all of it, that her
yeah,
full power can bring back her true wisdom and her come back to her seat in the round table.
yeah.
Oh my God.
Another seat, another throne. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Wow, 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 wow. Wow. Yeah. Okay.
And it's a
Freak
very
out.
dynamic portal. Like this is a table and it moves. You can step through that portal then to other realms, to the new realms.
Oh,
Speaker
beautiful.
actors. Wow.
Mm-mm-mm. Amazing. I'm going to be sitting with that one. That was a really big gift for me. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And that's where the
Wow.
feast is. That's where we're actually asked to sit, aren't we? And be with ourselves, each other, and drink, eat, because that's what I feel like at the table. It's the feast, it's the food, we're back again. We survived.
Yes.
Hey, what's your wisdom? Oh, look, you're a woman in this life. Whoa, you look
Right.
amazing. Last time I
Right.
saw you, you were a knight on a horse.
Yeah. Right.
Last time you were being burnt to the stake.
Oh my goodness.
Sorry, you can take
Wow.
that out.
No, 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 no. No, yeah. Right.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
the equality in it, right? That's a key part of
Yeah.
it, that we're all equally at the table, all of us.
Yeah.
The
Yes.
masculine, the feminine, the divine knights. Yeah,
Equal.
equal. Huge.
And we're so supported and we're supporting each other as well.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. It feels really good and nourishing.
Yeah. Well, now I'm so glad I asked that question. Now I understand why it wouldn't leave me. It was nagging.
Yeah.
Oh, that is so it. Goodness.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Amazing. Great.
Yeah. The grail of wisdom, the grail keepers,
Mhm.
it's all here.
Yeah. Beautiful. Okay. Well, any other last thing?
Feel like I'm not to say anything else. It's thank you. Thank you. Yeah. It feels like a really beautiful place to rest.
Mm.
And thank you for your kind heart, your generosity of your time,
Oh.
and what you've shared today and in the Queen Summit is magnificent.
Mm.
I know people are going to really, of course, they'll love it and what you're going to share. And yeah, stay grounded, everyone.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's going to get even more fun.
absolutely. Fun is a good word.
Yeah.
Yes. Awesome. Well, thank you, Eimear, and everybody. And yes, so I'll put the link to sign up. Again, it's entirely free, right? And wow, thank you. This has been a beautiful and I would say even life-changing conversation for me. So, so thank you.
Yeah, we were meant to connect.
Definitely. Mm. All right. Everybody share with us what's come alive for you. I have a guess it's going to be a lot percolating and coming alive for all of you. So we would love to hear and see you at the summit.
Queen-summit.com.
Awesome. You all see.
Bye.